Makes me excited.
It's the Win Daily Sports Show. Bet like Mike Show. WinDailySports.com. Mike North, how are you? How are
I'm
things
great,
going?
buddy. I'm great. We go well, really, I went 1-1. You technically
I took
went
the
0-1.
same game.
You took the same game, San Diego, with me, and then you said, you know what, Mike, I'll throw another one in. You threw Cincinnati in, so I said, you know what, I'll throw one in, and I took Baltimore. So basically, what we've learned from this is we should have just stuck both of us with the San Diego Padres, and we're both 1-0.
Yeah, that's what happens when you're trying to find a game on a very, very small betting slate, which there was really nothing yesterday. So I'm glad we're at least able to find something. I did later in the day. If you were listening to my show, I took Cleveland. So maybe you got to listen to me as well.
Nobody listened to that show here.
No, no, it doesn't count here. It only counts for my show.
So we're screwed. We're screwed. Everybody else, everybody in the Philly area. Are you promoting me on the free throw thing with Ben Simmons? Make sure you keep hitting that. And we'll get to Ben Simmons in a little bit. By the way, folks, make sure the fastest 20 minutes in all of communications. Okay, and then check all the borders here. Check all the pertinent Twitter handles and stuff like that. And then we will get to our picks in about 15 minutes here. But the first thing I want to talk about is Carl Nassib, who comes out as openly gay now that he's out there. Congratulations to you. I saw J.J. Watt said it will be something when it's not breaking news. Hey, J.J., it's not breaking news to most of America. If a guy wants to come out and say he's gay, he can say he's gay, but then, I like the way he attaches himself to the story to make himself, feel like he's standing with them. Bottom line is, John, nobody is good. Not everybody's going to like you, no matter what you do, whether you're undereducated, whether you're a different skin color, whether your sexual preference is this or that. There's not going to be 100% approval rating, but to me, everybody's missing the boat here. I was doing major radio at the time. Michael Sam is the guy that took the beating over this. Yeah, okay? Michael Sam
really did.
He did. And I'm sorry, you could pretend that this is the first active NFL player. I'm sorry, Michael Sam got a sack against the Green Bay Packers. He wore an NFL uniform. And today, to fit the narrative, what are they doing? He's the first openly active NFL player, because Michael Sam didn't make it into the regular season. That diminishes him. He was an NFL player under an NFL contract, and 7 years later, for him or for J.J. Watt or anybody else to say this is the bravest thing you can do, no, go back 7 years. Because I'm a product of the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s, when all presidential candidates, all of them, said the gay thing wasn't the thing. It wasn't right. Okay? Now, that took bravery back then. But to act like now, when you make an announcement, everybody in America is knocked on their ass about this, John. I just went about my business. I said, if you want to tell everybody what your sexual preference is, that's up to you. I'm a little different cat than that, but, did it stun you at all?
Yeah, it is something notable. And, the way he did it, too, was remarkable, donating to charity, right? Making his big announcement something much more than himself, too. It's really impressive in the way that he went about it. But, yeah, it's still a big deal because, even he mentioned the suicide rates among the LGBTQ community is still very high. So the representation is still big.
The suicide rate is a big deal.
Yeah.
Suicide all over. But
the unfortunate part is
a big deal to me.
Yeah, it's better.
Coming out's not a big deal.
Yeah, it's getting better, and I think you're 100% right. I would have really loved to see Michael Sam probably would have had at least somewhat of a career if it wasn't. He took the brunt of.
Absolutely.
He took the brunt of it, and it is something that if he would have done it, or if he would have come to the NFL, just a few years later, it might have been more accepting, or at least, not as overwhelming of a narrative on him. But unfortunately it was, and he took the big brunt of it. It really was the first thing I thought about.
This guy here has a cakewalk with this announcement today. He's got the commissioner, everybody else saying how courageous he is. Michael Sam was the courageous one. Not that what this guy did should be diminished. I'm not a fan, like I said, of announcing that I like a certain thing, certain way. But there are gay people in every walk of life. I would acknowledge in sports probably higher than the 10% that people talk about. And yes, there are sports radio guys, there are TV people of both genders. Okay, so to me, it didn't bother me, which means we've come a long way. Now let's talk about Laurel Hillenbrand. Where are the women activists out there? Where is Billie Jean King? Where is Chris Everett? Where are the Jackie Joyner Kerseys? Where are the women to speak out, okay, against a man participating in a female sport? And in New Zealand, there's going to be a weightlifter that's going to dash the dreams of a lot of female competitors because he's got hand-me-downs. And they don't. Period. End of story. But where is everybody? And there's going to be a backlash against this because you're seeing biological females now get buried, not only in this country, but as we can see in other countries. So I'm praying to God that somebody comes amongst their senses here because it's just not right. It's just not right. And where is everybody? Are you afraid that if you say something like I'm saying right now, you're going to be ostracized? No, it's right and wrong. If John has a daughter, and someday he probably will, I wouldn't want a transgender male competing against my daughter and my daughter losing a state title or any title. So I just think it's unfair, John. I don't know where you stand on this, but that's a serious problem. And there's even states now writing laws in because I don't think it's appropriate for men or whatever the way they want to label themselves to be involved in women's sports.
To me, I've always felt that the people in the sport themselves, this isn't as big of an issue as we all make it out to be.
Because you're not competing.
This is well, it's the people competing. It's not a problem in the sport or any of the sports that it's happening in. There is a problem.
It's going to be. You're going to let this woman go to the Olympics, or this woman. She's identified as that. Here's what I'm going to tell you. My opinion, somebody should step up. I know there's voices being heard, but, John, they're not being heard loud enough. And I think that's a problem. We're seeing ladies lose state titles in track and field and other things because they allowed this to happen. And it's just not. When Caitlyn Jenner, who was one of the greatest athletes I ever saw, is no doubt about it, as Bruce Jenner, when Caitlyn Jenner, who's a transsexual, now, so she has lived both sides, says it's an unfair advantage. Who's going to doubt her or he or whatever way you want to view it? Because I've seen them both. I still can't believe it to this day, John. He's still one of my favorite athletes of all time. And now I see him and I can't believe what I'm seeing. But if she is saying it's an unfair advantage, it would be like if he had done this 25 years ago, him competing with women's sports. He'd wipe everybody out. So I'm hoping that somebody down the line says something. I know there's some laws being passed, everything else. I don't expect everybody to agree with me. This is an opinion show. But I'd be pissed if there was a transgender competing against my daughter. That's just me. And I know parents around the country are saying the same thing. But I'm more outraged by something else, John. I watched the Baltimore Orioles last night.
Oh boy, they were bad.
Okay. Did you watch any of that game?
No, I try and tell myself never ever to sit down and watch an Orioles game, even if there's a combined no-hitter. It's not worth it.
Okay. All right. I'm going to tell everybody this right now. I don't know what the name of the manager is. Who's the manager of that team? He looks like a homeless man. He's got the beard. Brandon Hyde. Okay.
I honestly had no idea who the manager of the Orioles was.
Okay.
And I follow baseball a lot.
Brandon Hyde. He sits in the dugout with the 5 o'clock shadows. It's about 9 o'clock. He looks slovenly. He looks tired. He looks beat down. I decide last night, okay, I'm going to take San Diego, but I'm going to throw which was even plus 1.5 on the Orioles. Jim Palmer is the announcer. Now, Jim Palmer is one of the greatest Baltimore Orioles who ever lived. Top 3, easily. He is the commentator on the Baltimore feed. This is what's great about listening to baseball from around the country. And Jim Palmer basically said last night, and this was awesome. They gave up 5 runs in the second or third inning. They were losing 5-0. There was a play where they let the runners advance to second and third. He goes, they don't even know how to hit a cutoff man. They don't even know where the cutoff man is. Oh, and the cutoff man is late. And he says, when it was 1-0, men on first and second, bags loaded, excuse me. He's playing the infield in. He goes, what, you don't think you can score 2 runs? This is the announcer starting to dive bomb the manager who's below. He says, you know what? Maybe they should get out. This is on the telecast before the game and practice more. I'm making the call. If anybody can get the first manager fired as Brandon Hyde, maybe there's some odds, John, that you could find.
Yeah.
Grab him. Because here's what happens. When the announcer of the team starts dive bombing, and he's one of the top 3, 4, 5 Orioles, along with Frank Robinson, Brooks Robinson, guys like that, of all time.
Yeah. It's not very good what's happening in Baltimore right now. I expect him to go. I expect somebody in Arizona to face the consequences of what was the losing streak? 17 games. I mean, watching Diamondbacks, Orioles. Yeah, watching the Diamondbacks, Orioles, and Pirates is just watching minor league baseball at this point. It's not good. And yeah, somebody's going to face the consequences of all that. Truly is.
And you got this guy looks like he's disinterested. Freddie Galvis was playing shortstop. I mean, balls that he should have gotten to. He's lollygagging around. I know it's Freddie Galvis. I mean, where are you going if Freddie Galvis is your shortstop?
I'm not going anywhere. Former Philly great Freddie Galvis there, Mr. Mike North.
Speaking of not going anywhere, and I am the master of the segue, ladies and gentlemen. I said yesterday, and John did a great job. John, with these tremendous, sometimes our cuts, everybody who's listening to the show, we appreciate it. But John cut out a beautiful deal about, if you don't want Ben Simmons, I said, you know what? Bring him to the Bulls. All of a sudden today, everybody woke up and got some sense about him. Everybody waking up today going, well, wait a minute. Doc Rivers, well, we got a plan. We're going to work with them. All of a sudden, what you said yesterday, John, hit home. He's 25. He's a defensive player, not a defensive player of the year. That was Rudy Gobert. I kept saying yesterday he's defensive player.
Ben Simmons should have been defensive player of the year. He really should.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, they woke up this morning and said, maybe it'd be better to add somebody than to trade this guy for somebody else who might not be as good. And Doc Rivers says we got a plan. My question to you is, in Philadelphia tonight when you're around with the gambler, is your first action going to be, well, what was the plan while you're trying to develop this guy? Shouldn't this plan have been implemented months ago, a year ago? He couldn't hit free throws then. He can't hit 3-pointers.
Well, what they're hoping now is, I still think he will be traded and he's going to be on the trade market. But what I think now is they're hoping is this gets through to Ben Simmons because he's been working a lot just with his brother as a shooting coach. He's been very close to just family and not having, other outside external people come in and kind of work on him. And so now they're hoping this is finally the final straw for Ben to be like, okay, I need to do more. I need to get help somewhere else. I need to find a different shooting coach. I need to do what the team is telling me more than just, what my family or what I think is best for me. I have to do what the team is telling me to do. Then hopefully that breaks through to him. The shot changes. He does all the right things. And all of a sudden he becomes the 70% free throw shooter and he becomes better as an offensive player. If that happens, fine. But that's the problem here is that, he didn't want to do that. And now it's just, if this isn't the final straw, and if this doesn't finally make him realize and open his eyes to, okay, maybe I've been doing things the wrong way, then I don't know what will at this point. I really don't.
Well, he's going to blow off the Olympics. He's going to blow off the Olympics and develop.
Which he probably should. Yeah, he's got a lot to work on. Yeah.
Well, no, his livelihood's on the line here. His reputation's on the line here. But Doc Rivers with the about face, somebody had to talk with him yesterday.
Well, yes, and also, he just
Doc Rivers, I think, is joined at the hip with this guy.
And I think he looked lost in the playoffs, and I think it's, if he plays the Olympics, fine. It's obviously a great thing to represent your country and something like that. But I feel like his head was all over the place. And so for him to just kind of sit back and get his head right, I think that's probably the right thing for him during the offseason
Ben Simmons.
Ben Simmons.
Yeah, Doc Rivers, I got news for you. Josh Smith took him apart on social media.
Yeah, that was funny. If anything, that was really funny.
Just took him apart. And folks, if you get a chance to listen to it, he just took Doc Rivers apart for his in-game coaching, for his lack of adjustments, for his lineups. And he must have
It was quite the video. It was really funny. I mean, some of the things he was saying were obviously, things to take note of, I guess, but it was a good video. I enjoyed it.
I didn't disagree with much of it.
No,
Profanity. I disagree with the N-word and all that. Like I said, folks, check it out and see what Josh Smith had to say about the coaching ability of Doc Rivers, because they don't just have one problem there. I heard Tobias Harris, even not only on this show yesterday, but taking some hits elsewhere. So we'll see what happens with them. But my dreams of maybe Ben Simmons being a Bull might have been dashed because somebody from Philadelphia said, hey, you know what? Carmelo Anthony's been a bust his whole career. Couldn't even get his team into the playoffs, but he scored baskets. Somebody said yesterday Ben Simmons if there was no basket, would be the best basketball player in the country, okay? Because he does everything else so well. So hopefully they'll tidy things up. But when you think of playoff bust, give the guy a shot here.
Yeah.
Give the guy a chance here. Because you know what? Chris Paul, by the way, is going to go maybe some places that he never has gone to.
Yeah.
He's been playing a long time. So give Ben Simmons a shot. Chris Paul's a first ballot Hall of Famer. He doesn't know what it's like to taste the title. So let's let cooler heads prevail. And I think maybe next year, like you said, John, this was an absolute wake-up call.
Yeah, for sure.
This guy.
Yeah.
All right. Well, now it's that time that everybody waits for. A time that brings warmness to yourself and to and to your whole being. Oh, absolutely. I'll let you go first today, my friend.
This is.
Or do you have anything yet? I know.
Yeah,
you like
I do. This is one I would say take now before this maybe gets out of hand. This line, but the Phillies are minus 129 right now. I don't think we know who the national starter is. That's why I'm surprised this is up, because the national starter, I'm not sure we know yet. And even if it is Max Scherzer, the Phillies still have Zach Wheeler on the mound, who is their best pitcher, who is playing like an ace. And the Phillies are back home against a bad Nationals team on the road. This is a good spot here for the Phillies. If the money line is going to be that short, I have a feeling, though, once the national starter does get announced, that line is going to go up to minus 170, depending on who the starter is, minus 170, minus 180 for the Phillies. But right now, it's very short, and I would take that minus 129.
All right. So that's a jump on right away. Sometimes we wait, sometimes we don't.
Right. Yeah.
Johnny wants to jump on right away. Mine tonight, I don't know who's playing against each other as far as pitching, but tonight you got a game where I think getting the run line, I love the run line, by the way, folks. If I got a favorite, I'll bet the favorite. I've never given minus 1.5. I hate that. But I will give out the run line. Oakland is still a hot baseball team. They're minus 128 against Texas tonight. It's a very limited scoreboard as far as all-round sports tonight. I had nothing in the basketball game. I only have this game, but it's my plus 1.5 at minus $130 to win 100. If you're playing with a 20-cent line, it's only $10 more. If you're playing with a 10-cent line like I do, it's only $20 more. I am taking the Texas Rangers. They're always an attractive dog. They don't always come through. I'm not happy about taking them, but the system gave it to me. I'm taking the Texas Rangers as my only game tonight against the Oakland A's.
Nice. I do have a couple more. I will go with the Mets
baby.
I'll go Mets against the Braves. Marcus Stroman on the mound, one of their better pitchers. It's minus 107, so it's about a pick'em game. The Braves had Charlie Morton on the mound. I'm not a big fan of what Charlie Morton's been this season. He's been okay, but it's not somebody that this should be even money for, while the Mets are at home and they have Stroman on the mound, who has an ERA sub-3. So I like the Mets. And then also, I don't think anything else in baseball that I've really seen or anything that stood out other than those two games, but I will go with the Suns today, laying the 6 points. Oh, it's down to 5. I'll take the Suns at 5. Now, that's if Kawhi Leonard plays, definitely, wait to see if he does play or whatever it is. And if he does,
Well, what do you
obviously
want him
wait to see
do?
what the
If
line
Kawhi
is.
Leonard plays, what do you want? Hold on. If Kawhi Leonard
But
plays, what do
I
you
would
want?
have to wait to see what the shift of the money of the spread is. If it gets down to about a pick 'em or they're still 2.5 point favorite, I'd have to see. But if it stays at 5 and Kawhi Leonard's in, then I don't like that. But if I'm assuming Kawhi Leonard's going to, I'm assuming Kawhi Leonard's going to be out. And I love laying the 5 here for the Suns. The Clippers have to shoot at an amazing clip from 3 because that's all they do is shoot threes and play D when Kawhi Leonard's out. And I don't think they'll be able to do that against the Suns in this one. So I'm going to take the Suns here, laying the 5.
All right, so give us your picks one more time, my friend.
I'm taking the Phillies money line, the Mets money line. I don't know why I'm sticking with the NL East. That doesn't seem like a good idea. But the Suns also laying the 5.
All right, I'm taking the Texas Rangers, getting the 1.5 and minus 130. Ladies and gentlemen, it's always very quick. It's never brief, but quick. So long, everybody.